pleasant, warm welcome to you, my viewers. I want to welcome you back to Let's Discuss It, our show that is imparting hope to our nations, imparting hope to our lives, and inspiring people to live in the most healthiest ways possible. It is our desire as Confidence Academy we come to you today. We are today having a very special session. You usually see us discussing, but today we have a Q&A session, which is a development from the sessions that we've been having on gender-based violence. We've had many stakeholders coming on the show talking about this topic that has affected and impacted our lives in so many ways, negative ways, gender-based violence. But today, our viewers have posted a lot of questions that they want to get answers. And I'm honored today to host once again my guest who has been with us. For those who are coming in for the first time to the show, welcome. And please, let's just pay attention and feel free to send in your questions. We will host them again and have answers coming up. I want to give my guest an opportunity to introduce herself to those that might not yet have met her. You're welcome.
Thank you, Pastor Evelyn. Thank you so much for having me.
You're
My
welcome.
name is Advocate Getsia Zazo. I'm a former prosecutor and now work as a lecturer teaching criminal law and criminal procedure at the Northwest University. Greetings to all viewers.
Thank you so much. You're so welcome, and it's good to have you again. I must say that after our previous show, there were so many concerns that came out from our viewers, and people were calling in, and people were sending messages, sending emails. And to our viewers who are watching us today, you might have sent a question. Listen up for your answers. And for those who are coming in today, you might also desire to send in questions. You will see on the screen right now our email address scrolling. Do good to send us your questions and any concerns that you might be having. Do good to also send us your concerns or to call us on the number that is appearing on the screen. So you are welcome. We've got so many questions, Advocate, that came in from the viewers concerning the topic that we've been holding for the whole month of, I think, September. We've been hosting this topic, creating a heritage of peace and nonviolence in the Heritage Month. And we are trying to build a culture of peace and nonviolence. And people have sent in questions. But before we kick into those questions, I just wanted you to just give a recap to us that we've been talking about domestic violence. We've been talking about gender-based violence. Can you just explain this thing to us? What is it?
Interesting question. Very necessary, I must say.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So what is domestic violence? According to the Domestic Violence Act, domestic violence is any conduct, be it in the form of physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, economic abuse, or even in the form of intimidation or stalking, which conduct either harms or causes harm to the complainant. So you can hear from the definition that it is broader than just physical violence. That will be domestic violence. The thing about domestic violence, it is also, from the definition, not gender specific. So it can happen to any or either of the genders. And importantly, there must be a domestic relationship between the parties for one to can apply for a protection order in terms of the Domestic Violence Act.
Also, so GBV could be domestic or not. Am I right to say
By
so?
domestic relationship, we mean that between the parties there must be a relationship of either being married or are married or were married, are in a relationship or were once in a relationship, or could be family members, or it could be people that are in a perceived or actual relationship. Perceived, we mean, sometimes you get situation, one person thinks we are in a relationship, the other has no idea. Yes. So it covers all of those types of relationships.
Thank you very much, Advocate, for just bringing in that clarity that as we experience any kind of violation, because we are trying to impart hope with knowledge, to say even as you go to report, it's important for you to know to define what has happened to you, to understand that this is a criminal offense and it falls within this particular category. So thank you so much for that knowledge. I just want to quickly dive into the questions of our viewers that are watching us right now, that have sent questions. I'll start with Anonymous. Anonymous sent us a question and says, please take us through the process of obtaining a protection order. And I would understand why she wants to be anonymous, because probably in that space where she wants to make a decision and does not want to be known that she's making those steps. So the steps.
Yes, that's a good question. You can approach a court within the area as a complainant where you reside or where you run a business or where you are employed, or within the area where the respondent resides or conducts business or is employed. And you approach the clerk of the domestic violence court. Okay, so what you will need at the clerk of the domestic, so you can either go straight to the clerk of the domestic violence court or start at the police station, because when you get to the clerk of the domestic violence court, you will have to complete a form that has to be accompanied by an affidavit. So you need that affidavit to get it done at the police station. It is these two documents that the clerk of the domestic violence court will take to the magistrate.
So in other words, you are directing our viewers to last week's session that we had. And for those who are tuning in for the first time on Let's Discuss It talk show, you might love to scroll back and check on the previous show that we had, because we hosted the SAPS and they were giving us their services. As Advocate is now saying that it is important to go to the police and open a case, because it's one of the prerequisites when you get to.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
There are two different things. There is making an application for a protection order in terms of the Domestic Violence Act, and opening a criminal case is a separate issue.
Things. Okay,
yes. So when you go to the police station and you want to apply for a protection order from the police station, all you need is an affidavit. An affidavit is your statement that will be taken under oath, explaining what has happened and why you seek the law's intervention in your situation. So if you also have witnesses, it's good that you take them to the police station so that you also get their affidavits taken as well. And then you take that to the clerk of the domestic violence court, and the clerk will take your application to the magistrate.
Just an interjection there. Is it the victim's responsibility? Because I see the process to be a little bit tedious and weighing down for a person who has been violated, to say you go and open the case at the police. Do you now take the case to the clerk? Is it your responsibility, or the police does that for you?
It is best you take your affidavit to the clerk so that the clerk can give you the form to complete. If you cannot complete the form yourself, the clerk will assist you in completing that form with all the information that is needed, because the clerk needs this information to go before the magistrate. The magistrate will receive your application, consider it based on what you said in your affidavit, what you said in your application, and if there's other evidence, and decide whether to give you an interim protection order immediately.
So there we go. I think the tip there from that response is to say, resolve within yourself that justice must be served. I deserve justice. Take the case to the police, have an affidavit, take it, if possible, yourself to the clerk of the courts, and allow the processes to unfold. Don't feel that it's weighing me down. I've been to the police. You deserve the maximum effort for justice to be served.
Importantly, Pastor, that order that you will receive from the magistrate is called an interim protection order, depending on what your complaint was. Perhaps you wanted the court to order that the respondent does not assault you anymore, or does not threaten you, or does not harass you. If that is the order that is given in the interim court order, that court order, remember, is just a temporary court order. the court still expects the police to go and serve that court order, not yourself. The police must go and serve that court order on
Or
the
to your
respondent,
to your
because this piece
perpetrator.
of paper means nothing if the person
Until-
who is ordered to refrain from doing this and that does
Doesn't
not
know
know
about
that
it.
it exists.
Yes.
So you have to come back on the next court date that will be set. That is very important.
I think that's very, very, very empowering to say, once you have reported your case, and you will correct me, I'm under correction here, I'm learning together with my viewers, we want to know how this really works. What is empowering for me right now is to say, you, the person who has been violated, when you report your case and you open the case and it's taken to the interim, for interim court order, it's not your responsibility to look for your perpetrator and say, look, I need you to stay away from me because 1, 2, 3. It's not your responsibility, because I think that's also a weight. So how am I going to even talk to him? How am I even going to tell him? I think just repeat that once more. That part to say it's not the victim's responsibility to communicate with the perpetrator about the court order.
Yes. The court, after issuing a protection order, the clerk will give that protection order. You will have a copy of the interim protection order, and then the clerk will then give the
Accused.
we call them the
Respondent,
respondent,
okay.
yes, that protection order. We call it serving it on him. It is once the protection order is served that it has an effect.
Does that
it
take
is
a long
binding.
time, Advocate? Just under practical procedures?
That's one of my problems with the Act, because it does not specify the time frame within which the order must be served. It just says it must be as reasonably possible.
And
Yes.
that leaves it very
It's a bit vague, yes, but I do understand that the police, they do have dedicated officials that only work serving protection orders, so they
I think
do
like
take them seriously.
Kennel said so last
Yes.
week in our last show. Okay, thank you so much, Advocate. But having said that, what if a person applies for protection order, but does not return to court on the return date, as you've stated? Does the initial protection order remain effective?
After the interim protection order is served on the respondent, the respondent is given 10 days in terms of the Act to appear before court. Remember what I spoke about in our last session?
Show.
Yes,
it's a must watch.
that the court always has to hear both sides of the story.
Yeah.
So on the return date, the court expects to hear your story from yourself personally, and to hear also the response from the respondent. So if you do not come on the return date, then that interim protection order falls off.
Oh no.
Because it means you have lost interest in your own
your own
matter.
case.
Yes, it's not the law that has lost interest, it's you that has lost interest in your own matter. So even if the respondent does come, he has nothing to respond to, because you, the applicant, is not there.
And you did not follow up. You did not.
So it's very important.
Oh, goodness.
Absolutely. It's important for you, if you make an application and you get an interim protection order, to go back on the next court date to go and
honor.
Yes, because the court might
process.
have some questions from you before it issues what we call a final protection order.
My viewers, I do hope we are listening. I think the reason why we always blame shift and say that the law is not serving us, or the courts are not doing justice to us, or whoever else we want to blame. Sometimes let's take the responsibility, as we spoke again in the previous shows, to say it is a crisis for the police services. They told us in our previous show that people come and open cases and they drop them. Or people come and report cases and say, no, don't do anything to him, just reprimand him. We are stifling the systems that are meant to serve us. Justice can only be met when we play our part. You are that important. Follow through with the case. You are worth that. You are worth that person should be called to justice and the case must be tried. You are so much worth that. Don't give up on your cases, because then it cripples the legal systems in serving us. Thank you so much. I have another question that is a bit of an off-ramp, but I think very, very important. I got a question from a student in a high school who says, if someone is using a fake account on social media to harass me, what can I do to get a protection order against them? The student also chose to be anonymous.
That is a good question. Remember that Domestic Violence Act was introduced in 1998, and it only specifically deals with where there is a domestic relationship. So now if somebody is harassing you on social media with a fake account, you cannot prove that there is a
There's a
domestic
relation
relationship. Therefore, you cannot get a protection order in terms of the Domestic Violence Act. Hence, there was an introduction of the Protection from Harassment Act. This is an act that was introduced in 2011.
It's very recent.
Yes, in terms of this, you can also approach the court for a protection order. But if you do not know the identity of your harasser or the respondent, then the court will order the police services to investigate your case and get to the bottom of the identity of this person. Now, after they establish the identity of the person, then you will be able to see if you qualify for a protection order in terms of the Domestic Violence Act, or if there's no domestic relationship, you can still get a protection order from this person in terms of the Protection from Harassment Act.
I think we are addressing cyberbullying here.
Yes.
We are addressing cyberbullying, which is very prominent amongst the young people, the youth. I have a privilege of loving and working with young people a lot, and I know most of them. We've had suicidal cases, advocate, where a child cannot handle what has gone viral on social media, because that's where they spend most of their times, on social media. And things go viral, and a person is being harassed, and they cannot pick out, or even sometimes when they can pick out who has bullied them or who has harassed them, or so to speak, they still can't handle the magnitude of the embarrassment, and some children have actually committed suicide. I just want you to speak a little bit more, especially on this cyberbullying, to say, maybe firstly, what has been, since the law is quite recent, 2011, I take it as it's very new. I take it as very new, and a lot has been happening within this period. Especially now on lockdown, people are spending their time on social media. There's a lot of harassments, stalkings, cyberbullying in all its forms. What has been the success stories? Just generally, you might not give us specific stats, but just generally, is it a success stories on the legal side with cyberbullying, treating and dealing with cyberbullying?
Yes, I've seen quite a lot of cases of cyberbullying recently, and I think that it's good that we are creating that awareness for people to know that you don't have to just sit in your corner and cry like you don't have anything that you can do about it. You can approach the courts, you can approach the police station. Help is there. Even if they are hiding in a fake account, we can know who is bullying you. Yes, and they will be dealt with accordingly by the law.
Thank you so much. There we have it, my young people that are watching, and not only young people, cyberbullying cuts across. You can be harassed by a colleague, you can be harassed by a community member, just anyone who wants to, pull you down and defile your integrity and your name. You can take that matter to the police. The legal system is open to say, let's fight cyberbullying. I want to promise my viewers, advocate, even without consulting you, that we are coming back, and we will arrange to come back on a topic cyberbullying, because I think we need to address it in full, like define it, categories. What are the cyberbullying? And maybe some people are experiencing that. But that will be for another day, because today we are not discussing, we are answering.
I'm with you, Pastor.
Thank you so much. The other question that we have that I think I want to throw at you now is that I got a question from someone in Litlabile village, and he just chose to be identified as a male, and said, can I apply for a protection order over the weekend?
Yes, and it's good that the question comes from a man, because like I said, that it's not gender specific. It can happen to anyone, and you can never expect domestic violence incidents to only occur during the week. In fact, a lot of them appear or happen over the weekend. So in terms of the act, you can approach the police over the weekend or even after court hours, because the court functions from 9 o'clock until 4:30. But if anything needs urgent attention of the magistrate, he can be approached through the police can issue that protection order immediately. So yes, it's possible.
It's possible. Thank you so much for that response. And to our viewers who might have struggled, maybe some form of violation during a weekend, we don't have to wait for Monday. We don't have to wait and say, I will go next week. When it happens, take the matter up. When it has happened to you, blow that whistle. Do not be in silence. There is no excuse. You can't say it was a weekend and I had nowhere to go. Their doors are opened. The legal systems are open to us. You know, I really feel that as communities, we've done so much injustice to our legal systems. We have put so much blame, just like I felt in the other month of August when we were dealing with the Women's Month, to say there is a tendency of always saying, government is not doing this, government is not doing that. And I really hammered on that in the past talk shows. And I think there's been a lot of disservice to the legal systems. It is because of lack of knowledge. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. When you do not know what to do, lack of knowledge puts you in a space where you become a victim. You are victimized by everything because you do not know how to handle what is happening to you. Here is knowledge imparted to us today. Here is hope imparted on this show today. Advocate is saying, do not wait for the weekend to pass. It is because you do not know that on a Saturday, on a Sunday, whatever day it is, that this has happened to you. Take the matter. Let the law have its way.
In fact, when you are in a situation like that, a weekend can be very long. Because you could be threatened on Friday and be dead by Saturday. So the only thing the court will check is whether harm is imminent. If there's imminent harm, the court will act.
My viewers, I do believe we are getting helped wherever we are, and it is our sincere desire and prayer that you are inspired to take your own personal life a little bit more seriously. You deserve the best. What has happened to you is not your fault. You can go to the next door that is open for you to find justice. You are worth it. I want to look into the camera and say to you, my viewer, whatever is happening to you is not your fault. You are worth justice. You are worth service. You are worth the help. Shout out, blow the whistle. We are all waiting to hear from you. And God bless you as you do that. I want to move, Advocate, and ask another question. A person in Majamansu says family woman. She did not also give me her name. She just said anonymous family woman. Please take us through the process of opening a criminal case. I think that's what you did earlier on.
Yes.
But maybe just wrap it up again and answer so that specifically she feels that we have addressed it. It's very important.
What I addressed earlier was how you make an application for a protection order. I will now explain how you go about opening a criminal case.
Oh, it is actually a different thing altogether. Yes, thanks.
Now, when you open a criminal case, let's say there was a protection order issued and now it has been contravened. Or even if there's no protection order, let's say your partner has assaulted you. You will go to the police and lay a complaint. We call it, opening a docket.
That's what we know.
In layman's language.
Yes, that's what
you
we know.
Open a docket. Yeah. So you go there and you'll enter an affidavit, write an affidavit again under oath, explaining what happened. And if you have more evidence, it's very, very important that you always keep your evidence. Today, he says this, you can record. Okay. Another day, it's another threat, record, compile your evidence, you must always have a plan.
I think just to my viewer, because you've just said something that just brings a whole different ball game to the GBV or to the domestic violence, to say, today he says this. So domestic violence can just be the words. I'm coming from a very powerful a course where they were teaching us about the power of the words, the things you hear, the things you speak about yourself, the things that are spoken to you, about you and into your life. So it could be verbal,
But it has an impact.
but it has an impact.
And if you don't have evidence, simply going to the court and saying, I need
He
a protection
said.
order because he said, and you have no evidence. If he just simply comes and say, I never said that.
So
if
it's
you
your
have
word
no
against his
evidence,
word.
you see, you are at a disadvantage. It's going to be a problem. So what I'm saying to you is be wise and get your evidence ready. Get your evidence ready so that you can support your case or support your application. But after you make that statement under oath, they'll put it in the docket and they'll see from your statement if there are more witnesses that they can approach as the
Calling.
police to, support or corroborate your version of what has happened. And then they will, if needs be, immediately go and arrest the suspect. Because you are a suspect before you are charged and you are an accused person after you are charged. And you have to now appear at the court. If this person is arrested, they have to be taken to the court within 48 hours after being arrested. And that's where they will apply for bail. At this stage, you are not called to the court, but the investigating officer allocated to the case will keep you informed of any developments in the case. And thereafter, the court will hear then whether this person can be released on bail. At times, they can be released on bail on condition they do not contact you until this case that you opened at the police station or this case that is now appearing in court is finalized.
Yeah.
So they are not given an opportunity to can intimidate you or to can approach you or to can try to make it go away in any way. So you have to be in contact with the investigating officer. The fact that a person is out on bail, it doesn't mean that they have a right to come to you and threaten
do whatever
you.
they
You
want.
immediately tell the investigating officer and bail can be cancelled.
But advocate, on a very sensitive note, I've watched a lot of uprising from women, from GBV activists in courts where they are fighting that the courts must not give a particular, I want to use the proper words now because the person has not yet been tried. A particular accused person, they say, why are they giving the person bail? And there are also extreme instances where people are out on bail and do the worst during the bail session. So now I want to find out from you, with that as a background, that, this bail application stage, are there any measures in place to make sure that the victim or complainant is protected when the accused is released on bail? Because we do get cases where a person is given bail, goes and kills himself. Or a person is given bail and the assault just continues or something worse happens. What can you say to that effect?
Bail is a
right.
A constitutional right. It's an application brought by the accused or the defense to court, an accused person who has been arrested for allegedly having committed an offense, to say to the court, I understand that the state believes I have committed this offense. I, for one, do not wish to accept guilt. I know I am innocent. That's what he's saying. And before we get to my trial, I am requesting that I be released on bail. If I'm guilty, the state will prove it later. But for now, can I be released on bail? Remember what I said, the court always listens to both sides.
Parties.
So
But
now,
what do they
that's
weigh?
what the deface.
Sorry. What do they weigh? I do understand the constitutional right of the complainant and the accused, that we all have rights, The accused is a person in the nation who is also protected by the constitution of the nation. But my question is, where is the cutoff for the court to say, we do give you bail or we deny you bail? What are the weighing factors there?
Matters that appear in court for application for bail are categorized.
Okay.
So we have Schedule 1 offenses. That will be your minor offenses where the accused has never been arrested for anything else before. This is the first time they're appearing in court.
And minor does not mean what happened to you is a minor issue.
No. Like,
just shelving.
Yes. Because shoplifting is not the same as murder, So shoplifting will fall in the category of minor if the accused has no previous convictions. So in that case, it's easier for an accused person to get released on bail. But if it's a Schedule 5 offense, for example, murder, rape, more serious offenses, then it has to be proven by the applicant, being the accused, that it is in the interests of justice that they be released on bail. So in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act, that's another thing. There are factors that he must, that the court must consider. Yes. And then there's Schedule 6 offenses, that's more serious offenses. There you have to not only prove that it's in the interest of justice that you be released on bail, but also that there are exceptional circumstances permitting your release on bail. So these matters are categorized, but the court will listen to the defense and also listen to the state.
Accused,
Yes.
the state, yeah.
So that is why I said you must communicate with your investigating officer, but it's not advised that at this stage, as a complainant in the bail application, you want to come to court to testify, because reserve your evidence for the trial.
For the trial. Oh my goodness. So much knowledge, so much empowering. And I just feel that as we are taking in this information, obviously we cannot remain where we were before this show. You've got to be having a shift of mindset towards yourself as a person, that you are so much worth, you are worth everything. That is why all the systems are in place to serve you. You should not remain silent. I'll continue hammering on this because I think that is a big problem that we have. You know, I want to make a follow-up question from our former guest who came to the show. She was a victim. She experienced rape, and she's now a GBV activist, Miss Kinsey, and I still honor her and respect her for her story, for sharing it with our viewers, and for empowering us with that very sad story. But it's so empowering how she has come out of that and the journey that it has put her in, you know, which is what we desire to impart to all viewers, to say, you might be going through something. Let that be the path that ushers you into paths, you know, of greatness. Be inspired to be somewhere else. You're not your past. You're not what happened to you. So the follow-up question is, she says, what can you advise her and the viewers? Because what happened to her is that after the rape case, they went through all these processes that we've discussed, and they lost the case. What are some of the things or advice that you can give our viewers to say, when you do this or you do that, you stand chances of losing your case?
As I said, evidence is important.
Yeah, because with her as well, she did not keep the evidence. She bathed.
Yeah.
And they did not get evidence. So she struggled.
Let's also look at it from this perspective. You make an allegation or a complaint against another person. You must appear before a magistrate who does not know you, was not there when it happened, does not know the accused, how bad a person or how good a person he is. It's a totally impartial person who is now to hear evidence from the state in the form of the complainant statement, witness statements, evidence of DNA, whatever, to prove that this person is guilty. And then, because this is what the law requires, he also has to listen to the accused.
Absolutely.
And the accused says, I did not do it. If I did, there would have been evidence.
That's a common statement, yeah?
Yes. Put yourself in the shoes of the magistrate. What are you supposed to do?
Because both parties must be heard to weigh the case.
Are you supposed to give this person a criminal record, even when there's no evidence or when there's not sufficient evidence? In your mind as a survivor, I don't even want to use the word victim.
Yeah, I also want to
in
move
your
away from
mind as a
victim.
survivor, you know it happened. But it's not in the mind of the judge or the decider in the case. So what will be decided in court will be on the basis of what evidence was presented to court.
So mistake number one, not having your evidence.
Yeah.
Or destroying your evidence.
It can be one thing or a combination of things that can ultimately lead to the accused being declared not guilty by a court of law. But you need to understand that you are not your case
Oh.
Okay, so when the case is lost in court, don't get lost with your case.
Oh, nice. That's a nice one.
Okay, you are not your case. If it's lost, it's fine. You are still standing.
Oh,
So
that's
you
beautiful.
must come out stronger because at least I fought him. At least he knows
He
never
knows that
to
you
do
never
that
to take me
again.
for granted.
Yes.
I think that's a hashtag on my page. When I post, I am going to hashtag, you are not your case. So if you lost your case, don't lose yourself with the case. Very profound words of inspiration right there to say, you know, because as advocate has said, you know, whatever has happened to you, the magistrate or the judge is not in your mind or in you to experience what you're experiencing. So if you do not have enough evidence and you lose your case, still be authentic. Stand tall and realize that you fought for yourself. And that's a bravo on you. You fought for yourself. And this person who knows as much as you do that he did what he did will know that you are not taking yourself for granted. It's very unfortunate that time is so limited. I would love to wrap up, but I cannot go without finishing these two questions remaining, because I think my viewers who asked are watching on to hear the response. A viewer asked and says, do you think the system is doing enough to fight domestic violence? This is a viewer who sent this from Rivera Park.
I would not say the system is doing enough because I believe there's a lot more that can be done. But like I said, you know, the system is run or managed by human beings, and humans err.
Of course, yes.
Every now and again.
Which is why we had pastors apologizing. We
Yes.
had police apologizing.
People make mistakes all the time.
Yep.
So you could get some police making mistakes in our fight and our quest to destroy domestic violence. So you do get elements that are not really coming to the party. You do get those elements within prosecution. You get those elements within even our social workers. But you have a lot, I have a lot of colleagues that want to make it work. So I believe that through the system, we need to see more collaboration.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely,
not a war
advocate.
survivors can win alone.
No.
It's not a war the police can, because even if the police do a good
mammoth
job,
task
if
of
the
work.
prosecutor drops the ball,
The
it's
network
done.
of energy
So
to get
we
this
need
thing
to
done, yeah.
work together, and I'm working on identifying all the problems within the Domestic Violence Act as a researcher to can pursue closing all the gaps.
Thank you so much. I think that is very reassuring to you, my viewer in Rivera Park, to say collaboration would definitely get us to where we want to be. We can never say, I love your response. We can never stand and say we've done enough. If we did enough, we wouldn't be having the cases that are escalating. But because the problem is perpetuating, not enough has been done until we see this GBV pandemic being really nipped from its roots, exactly from its bud, to say we have done enough. We can never answer that question with a yes. So thank you so much, Advocate, for yes, please come through.
And again, we shouldn't lose faith in the criminal justice system.
Exactly, my point.
Because right now, as a country, we have a problem of prisons being full. Why are the prisons full?
Because the justice system is
the
doing its work.
justice system got them there.
Yes.
So it's all those people that thought I would never be arrested, I would always get away with it. They are making our prisons full right now. So something is happening. It's just that we don't really get those reports, you know, daily reports that there's somebody who was convicted by this court and that court. We only get one story, you know, once in a while. So it seems like the system is not working. But look at the prisons. You'll see the system is working.
And
Men and women of this country working for the
fighting.
state are really working hard.
Thank you. Our salute to our judiciaries. You know, we salute you today in this show to say to you, do not also get tired of all the complaints and the, you know, the way we lose our show of lack of vote of confidence. Oh, I've said a lot of things there, but I think you get me to say sometimes society just shows you that we don't have our confidence in you. I'm speaking to your colleagues now. And also to the collaboration to say, let's all come to the party. I'm calling on the media as well, because I see media as a big tool, especially in the time we are living in now, where everyone is on social media. Media should take the success stories seriously, just like we take those down stories. Let's not make, I know it's not like we are overblowing anything. We are telling stories that are happening, but let's tell the other side that prisons are full, that the judiciary is working. Let's tell the other side, just to give hope to the communities and it forms part of the collaboration. It's to the media, social development, any other person who sees themselves positioned in life as a stakeholder where it concerns you in terms of GBV or domestic violence. Let's partner. Let's realize we're not fighting one another. We're fighting this thing together. And we should not make it a battlefield where I appear as a pastor that I'm doing more than what advocates are doing or what policemen are doing or whoever else is involved, activists are doing. Let's work together, collaboration. Last question on you is to say, given a chance, in fact, last two I'm going to give you together. Given a chance to speak to an abuser, what would you say to them? This is coming from someone in Garankuwa. And then the last question is, what can you say to a woman that is trapped in an abusive relationship who feels there is no hope for them? Anonymous.
To an abuser, it's said that, this crime, remember we said it's not reported as it should be. It's highly underreported. So you can get an abuser dressed up as a respectable person in society, and if they are listening to me right now, I have 2 words for them. Stop it. I'm saying 2 words because I want them to remember them. Stop it. Otherwise, your luck will run out. You will be prosecuted. You will end up in jail like all those other people who are in prison right now. And it will be too late for you. You can change right now. Just make an introspection. You know what you do wrong. It's not your partner that can change it. It's in you. You can make a decision. I will change. I know that I've not been treating my partner well. I'm stopping it right now. That's my words to the abuser.
And to the woman who's trapped in an abusive relationship?
To the woman who is trapped in an abusive relationship, there is a chance that he will never change. Stop trying to believe that he will change. He will change when? Because there's an even bigger chance that you will die. According to statistics, if you are in an abusive relationship, you have the greatest chance of losing your life to your partner.
Femicide.
Femicide stats that I spoke about. So have a plan. Have a plan. You can have maybe somebody that you rely on for support. You cannot do it on your own. If you are dependent on your partner, start developing a skill with which you will be able to sustain yourself and your children, because you cannot depend on a person who is abusing you, because abuse is not a sign of love at all.
Not at all.
It's not. In fact, if I was to boldly say, I'd say it's a sign of hate. This person does not love you. They hate you. You cannot love a person and hit them and punch them and kick them in front of your children. How is that defined as love?
It can't be defined
Think
as
about
love.
it. Think about it. It's not love.
Can't be.
Walk away while you still can.
Sure. Thank you so much, Advocate. And to my viewers and everyone who has participated in this show tonight, I just want to reassure you that there is hope. There is hope. As long as we still have the breath of life within us, there is hope. Shout out for help. To the abuser, stop it. That is what the Advocate has said on this show. Stop it. And I want that to boldly show on the screen. Stop it, with an exclamation mark. And to the woman and the people that are stuck in relationships that are not serving them any healthy, walk away. Walk away. Also 2 words. Walk away. Get help. Get help. And to everyone else who for one reason or the other is drawn into this program, let us collaborate. Let us collaborate. There's a special word in Isaiah that says, I looked for a man who could go, that we could send on our behalf, Who could it be? And Isaiah says, here I am, Lord, send me. You and I can make a difference. Let's go. God bless you. Shakes Kafela.